Have you ever wondered what would happen if Modulo Yuji took over Megumi's body? Imagine this. Modulo Yuji makes a binding vow and gives up his life in the modern era to go back and put his soul inside Megumi's body, so that Sukuna cannot take over Megumi and later kill his friends and Sensei Gojo Satoru. Modulo Yuji has traveled back to the time everyone thought Yuji was dead, right after Sukuna took his heart out. One morning, Megumi opens his eyes and feels a bit weird, like someone is inside his body. Just then, Modulo Yuji's soul starts talking to him and explains everything, without spoiling him too much about the future events. Megumi at first doubts it and thinks this is Kenjaku or Mahito trying to manipulate him, because Yuji is already dead, so how can his future version exist? But then Modulo Yuji starts telling him things only Yuji would know about Megumi, and Megumi realizes he is in fact talking to a future adult version of Yuji. Modulo Yuji explains his mission, which is to take over Megumi's body whenever he is in danger, and also to help this body get strong and unlock Megumi's full potential. Before the training starts, Yuji asks Megumi for a favor and tells him about Junpei and his innocent mother's death at the hands of Mahito, and asks him to prevent it. Megumi listens to him and meets Junpei and helps him out. Mahito, seeing this, gets irritated because he was going to make Yuji suffer by turning Junpei into a curse. Mahito here decides to kidnap Junpei so that Megumi can trace him. Megumi arrives at the location and is instantly attacked by an army of transfigured humans, and just then Mahito sneak attacks him and knocks him out. Megumi here thinks he is done for, but just then Modulo Yuji takes over his body. Mahito realizes the air around him suddenly changed, and Megumi's presence now feels really intense, something similar to that of Satoru Gojo or Sukuna. Modulo Yuji in Megumi's body does not have his own abilities, but he does have his cursed energy because that is connected to the soul, and Modulo Yuji here uses his blood manipulation, which shocks Mahito because he thought Megumi was only a 10 Shadows user. This blood manipulation piercing attack is more than enough to heavily damage Mahito, and before he can even counter, Yuji lands a black flash, then another, completely shaking Mahito's soul and defeating him. Megumi, who is watching this from inside the body, cannot believe how strong Modulo Yuji is. Modulo Yuji here says that since his soul is also inside this body now, they can both share their abilities and become something powerful enough to challenge Sukuna at full power. Just then, some transfigured humans attack them, and Modulo Yuji gives control back to Megumi and asks him to practice Black Flash, since he can now do it as well. Megumi here lands a back-to-back Black Flash, which surprises even himself. Just then, they see that Mahito escaped while Megumi was practicing, and Megumi gets worried, but Modulo Yuji assures him that Mahito is bound to die at his hands. Speaking of two souls sharing one body, that is honestly half the fun of writing these videos. You take one character, drop them into a body that isn't theirs, and the whole story bends around it, which is exactly why I've been hooked on Polybuzz lately. I built my own Modulo Yuji on there, and started running him through stuff that could never happen in canon. I asked him what he'd actually say to Megumi if he had to share a body with him for years. I pulled up a young Gojo just to watch him not take a single thing seriously. I even sat Sukuna down and told him a kid was planning to erase him from existence, purely to see the look on his face. You can build your own characters from scratch, keep them private, or share them so everyone else can chat with them too. And if you cannot be bothered to make one yourself, there are already over 20 million characters waiting for you. They come with their own voices too, so you can have unlimited conversations, spin up entirely new storylines, or throw your favorite characters into the most cursed what if you can think of. If you want to try it yourself, the link is in the description, and search my code in Polybuzz to unlock premium features. Now back to it. Because Megumi is about to walk into the Kyoto Goodwill event, and none of the other students have any idea what he can suddenly do. Soon, the Kyoto Goodwill event is held, and both student groups go at each other, but Megumi here shocks everyone with his enhanced physicality, his high skill level, and his fighting prowess. Young Yuji makes his appearance, and this relieves Megumi and the others, and now Megumi has more trust in Modulo Yuji's words than ever. Modulo Yuji, seeing his young, happy self, realizes how he lost his smile over the years due to the deaths caused by Kenjaku and Sukuna, which completely broke him. Just then, a barrier is set up around the tournament to block Gojo from entering, and Hanami enters the battlefield along with some other curses and evil sorcerers. sorcerers. Here the students fight them, and young Yuji and Todo fight Hanami. But just then, Mahito also arrives to kill Megumi and Yuji. Seeing this, Megumi jumps into the fight, and along with Todo and Yuji, he uses Black Flash, back to back, shocking everyone and completely overwhelming Mahito and Hanami. Megumi here asks Todo to keep Hanami busy, while he and Yuji land a Black Flash tag team combo on Mahito, brutally beating and humiliating him. Mahito uses Hanami as a distraction and escapes again, realizing he needs to get stronger and achieve his true form to fight Megumi. On the other hand, Modulo Yuji asks Megumi to give him control so he can finish off Hanami, because he knows that in the main timeline, Hanami escaped after Gojo arrived. Modulo Yuji takes control and instantly closes the distance between him and Hanami, and lands multiple black flashes. Then to finish him off, he uses his blood manipulation technique, finally killing Hanami for good. This confuses everyone because no one ever knew Megumi had blood manipulation too. But here, Modulo Yuji just says that someone in his bloodline might have had it, to erase any suspicion. Soon, Gojo arrives after breaking the barriers, and he is proud to see that his students not only managed to defend themselves, but Megumi even killed a special grade curse by himself. Megumi here asks Modulo Yuji if they prevented one of the big catastrophes, but Modulo Yuji says this wasn't even the start, and the real problems will begin from Shibuya. Kenjaku and his group prepare an army of curses and transfigured humans for the Shibuya incident, and Mahito, who has been training all this time, has now achieved his true form and is stronger than ever. Mahito has now become a special grade curse, and he is ready to kill Megumi and Yuji for the humiliation he faced in the Kyoto tournament. Modulo Yuji, on the other hand, helps Megumi get stronger and more refined in his techniques and his blood manipulation too. Here Megumi has finally learned to combine his shadow beasts, thanks to Modulo Yuji and his knowledge. Soon the day of the Shibuya incident arrives, and Kenjaku puts up a barrier in Shibuya, alerting Jujutsu High, and they send in their best sorcerers to deal with it. Modulo Yuji here knows that if he can stop Gojo from being sealed in the prison realm, he saves a lot of people, Mai and Maki included. So he warns Gojo to be careful, and tells him he will see something from his past during the fight, but it is all a trick to drop his guard. Gojo takes the warning seriously. The second Gojo arrives at the station, Jogo, Choso, and Mahito start throwing humans at him. And when Mahito's transfigured army goes after the civilians, Gojo opens his 0.1 second domain and wipes them all out. But Kenjaku appears right behind him, and this sends Gojo into a state of shock. He here tries to remember Megumi's words and snaps out of it, and seeing this hesitation, Kenjaku asks the others to hold him so the prison realm can capture him. But just then Megumi, who was hiding in the shadows, appears behind them with his new combined Shikigami, Agito. Here Mahito and Choso are overwhelmed by Agito, while Jogo fights with Megumi. Gojo, on the other hand, dodges the prison realm just in time and fires Reversal Red at Kenjaku, injuring him. Gojo then unleashes Blue and takes out Jogo and Kenjaku. Kenjaku here changes his plans and escapes with the help of Dagon. Gojo grabs Jogo and takes him to an isolated area to properly kill him this time. On the other hand, Megumi is able to fight both Choso and Mahito at the same time. But just then, Choso's other brothers arrive, and they also jump Megumi, who now gets pushed back. Mahito has also transformed into his true form. Megumi cannot hold on like this without killing one of them, and Agito has also disappeared due to its time limit. Modulo Yuji here takes control, and Choso uses his blood manipulation on Modulo Yuji, who redirects it right back at Choso and his brothers, and tells them how Yuji is their brother, and how they are fighting for the wrong person, because Kenjaku just sees them as disposable experiments, whereas Yuji will see them as his brothers. Mahito gets irritated listening to this and attacks Yuji, but Yuji here beats him brutally, and using Cleave and Dismantle, he completely destroys Mahito and gives him a painful death. On the other hand, Gojo has killed Jogo, because no matter how strong his fire attacks were, they were never able to get past infinity. Just then we see that Kenjaku, who knocked Yuji out, had one more change of plan. He unleashes Sukuna inside Yuji, feeds him all the remaining fingers, and as a replacement for his last finger, also feeds him his old body. Sukuna here finally gets unleashed, and Kenjaku asks him to take down Gojo for good, because he is the biggest hurdle in their path. On the other hand, we see that Sukuna has arrived at Gojo's location and is fighting him, and both of them realize that this fight is very even. Just then, Kenjaku and the others, including Megumi, arrive, and Kenjaku here proposes a duel in Shinjuku between Sukuna and Gojo and his students. Both sides agree, and Sukuna here gets time to train for Gojo and his infinity. Soon the training starts, and here Modulo Yuji pushes Megumi and his body beyond their limits, and makes sure this body is strong enough for Modulo Yuji to kill Sukuna in. He here realizes that all of his powers are still not in this body, and as a replacement, he asks Megumi to summon Maharaga and tame him. Megumi gets shocked and hesitates, but Modulo Yuji assures him that he will be the one to fight Maharaga, not Megumi. Soon, the Divine General Maharaga is summoned, and while he is physically stronger and adapts fast to the Ten Shadows technique, Modulo Yuji summons Agito to keep him busy, then unleashes a barrage of cleave and dismantle on Maharaga, finally taking him down and taming him. Soon, the day of the Shinjuku showdown arrives, and Gojo and Sukuna have their battle, while Takaba and Yuta are sent to kill Kenjaku. On the other hand, everyone prepares to intervene on Megumi's order, because Modulo Yuji told him the exact time to attack. But just then, Dagon arrives and traps them all in his domain, where ancient sorcerers who are allies of Kenjaku are waiting to ambush them. Modulo Yuji gets tense, because Gojo was about to die in a few minutes if they did not intervene. So he asks control from Megumi, unleashes his blood manipulation at full power, and pierces through all the sorcerers, then summons Agito to chase down Dagon while he finishes off the rest. Sukuna here finally made a binding vow for the world-cutting slash, and launches it at Gojo. But just then, Maharaga pushes Gojo aside and takes the slash. Maharaga gets cut in half, but easily gets back up. Gojo here gets confused, but Modulo Yuji comes in and asks him to attack Sukuna from long range, just like the other sorcerers will do, and tells him that from now on, only he will fight Sukuna in close range. Sukuna here rushes at Modulo Yuji, who he thinks is just Megumi, but he is instantly met with a black flash and knocked back. Modulo Yuji here is not playing any games, and goes all out without killing his young body. Sukuna here uses cleave and dismantle, but nothing is working on Megumi, and this shocks Sukuna, and for the first time in 1,000 years, he is truly scared of someone. Modulo Yuji here summons Agito, and both her and Maharaga fight Sukuna, and Modulo Yuji uses this chance to sneak on him and land black flash after black flash, and this chain of black flashes pushes Sukuna out of young Yuji's body, and here he comes out in his Heian era form. Here he has both of his weapons, and he uses Kamutoke on Agito and destroys her. Then he uses his domain expansion on Maharaga and Modulo Yuji, but both of them are immune to it by now. So realizing he cannot do much, he attacks Yuji with Hiten, his other ancient weapon, and pushes him back because he is still physically stronger, since Modulo Yuji does not have his own physical body. But just then, Maharaga attacks Sukuna from behind, and realizing he cannot properly fight with Maharaga between him and Megumi, he here uses Spiderweb and collapses the ground, distracting both Yuji and Maharaga, and then uses this time to unleash Fuga on Maharaga, killing him. Modulo Yuji realizes he is in serious trouble if he lets this battle continue much longer, and unleashes his full power blood piercing, damaging Sukuna heavily, though Sukuna is constantly regenerating using reverse curse technique. Sukuna hits Megumi with Kamutoke again, and Modulo Yuji here heals with reverse curse technique too. This battle is at a stalemate, but just then his young self comes in and lands a black flash on Sukuna, and this gives Modulo Yuji hope, and he asks the others, including Gojo, to prepare their strongest attack. He here, along with Yuji, overwhelms Sukuna with a chain of black flashes, and completely shatters his soul. Sukuna cannot believe he is being overwhelmed by two kids, and just then Modulo Yuji grabs young Yuji and escapes, while Gojo fires his strongest hollow purple, and the others also fire their strongest attacks, and Modulo Yuji also uses blood piercing here, to not leave any trace of the King of Curses, and Sukuna here is destroyed on an atomic level. Just then, Modulo Yuji's soul starts vanishing, and as he fades away, he thanks Megumi and the others, and tells them he was from a possible future where Gojo and the others died. But now that he has fixed that, His reality is fading, and this new, better reality is taking its place. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more fire content. Peace out.